Hello and welcome to all Gold viewers out there today in the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold, and I'm chatting today with Dr. Prashant Gangal. Welcome, Dr. Prashant. It's wonderful to have you here.
Hello, Christine. Nice to meet all the delegates.
Lovely to have you here. First of all, and you are going to be a speaker at our upcoming Gold Learning Day, Managing Weight Gain in the Breastfed Infant. That is our first big event of the new year in 2023. But before we get into that, Prashant, please tell us, where in the world are you?
Well, I'm in India, located in Mumbai suburbs, extended suburbs, and I'm practicing there as a pediatrician for last about 30 years. And for the same time, I'm in the breastfeeding movement because I joined that straight after my MD.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we always love having pediatricians here with us at Gold who are into the breastfeeding, into lactation, breast and chest feeding, which is so important, so very, very important for our families out there in the world. Let me ask you this. In your training, you said you did that right after your MD. Did you get a lot of training in medical school about lactation or breastfeeding, or is that something that you needed extra training for? Because I find it always interesting to hear what the experiences are from physicians from around the world.
A very less amount of training in undergraduate days and even in post-graduation. In fact, in my undergraduate days, I remember my teacher teaching me how to prepare a formula and how to feed it by bottle. Postgraduate days, it was better, but there was no detailed training because I believe that minimum 18 hours of training is required for going into this particular field or making a start. And you also need hands-on experience. So I can say I was almost zero at the end of my MD as far as the IYCF or IYCN is concerned. And I luckily that same year when I joined practice, Dr. Felicity Savage was visiting India for a workshop, and I was the administrative officer for that workshop, and with my postgraduate teacher, Dr. N.B. Kumta. So I could join that workshop, hear Dr. Felicity Savage, and started getting my training right from there. So I got a good head start, I can say.
Absolutely. It sounds fantastic. Yeah. And you're in practice, you said, over 30 years now, helping families there with their little ones, getting them off to a good start. Now, the topic of the presentation is healthy babies, what we can learn from infant growth charts. So let's talk a little bit about these growth charts. Tell us a little bit about them. Of course, we want to have you at the presentation, so you don't have to go too deep into that, but let us know what are growth charts good for, what can they do, and what they can't do for us here.
When you think of fever, what is the first thing you think of, or parents think of? You think of thermometer, because that is the tool with which you measure fever. So if you want to measure growth, or you want to find out how your nutrition counseling is working, you need to work with growth charts. Growth charts are so sensitive that they just reflect three things, not just nutrition, but also nurturing and also diseases. So just like an astrologer would look at a horoscope and say, oh, this must have happened in the past and this is going to what is going to happen in future. So similarly, now with training, if I see a growth chart, I can see the child's past, and for the better future, I can counsel the parents. So I think these two similes are good enough for people to understand the importance of growth charts and monitoring.
I've seen this in my own experience here with regards to growth charts. When I had my children, I remember in the early days, when one is healing from birth as a parent, and if breastfeeding is not going off to a good start, the family is suffering, the baby is suffering, the mother, the parent is sleep deprived. And I remember walking into these pediatrician offices and seeing those growth charts in front of me. But one of the things that I felt is nobody really explained the chart to me, I'm a healthcare provider now. I know how to read those charts, but I was thinking about all these other families out there who, it's just a line on a piece of paper and it's being ticked off. Yes, no, all good, no. What can we do as healthcare providers to explain, to better educate our families about what these growth charts can do and what to really look for?
Not many pediatricians would plot a growth chart, or even if they are plotting, they won't have a look at it. It is not just important to plot or look at the growth charts. It is also important to see nutrition, nurturing, and diseases. So nutrition is something which we have to ask. And after taking the nutrition audit or diet audit, we need to correlate it with the growth. Only if you correlate it with growth, then you'll be able to know that what is going wrong or what is going right. And for exclusive breastfeeding, I have seen the growth charts absolutely following the growth curves. So that gives you confidence that what you're advising parents is right. It gives parents confidence that what doctor is advising is right. And you know that the child is on the right path. So it is very important not just to see the problems on growth chart, it is also important to explain to the parents that the child's growth is growing, child is growing normally, the growth curve is going nice. So what they have been doing or what they have been consulted is right. So it helps doctor to develop confidence in himself and helps parents to develop confidence in the physician.
Okay, absolutely. Have you seen any limitations when it comes to growth charts?
Yes, limitations is that you need to have motivation to use them. So that motivation can become a barrier. Secondly, it takes more time in the consulting room. So you might take a longer time to see a baby because it's just not plotting on growth charts, but it also taking audit history and then correlating. So it takes a bit of time. And third thing is that how to make parents independent about growth charts. That means they don't do the plotting actually, but what they do is they actually do the nutrition audit or diet audit sheet. So part of your job is over. If you are in a area like some parts of India which are not developed, then they maybe you can something like have a joint group meeting where one of the child, one of the baby is taken as the example. So other parents follow it without actually making any notes. So these are the barriers, the time barrier and the motivation barrier, and how to use this particular technique when you are dealing with parents who are illiterate.
Yeah, that's a very big barrier. Yeah, I can definitely see that right there. And also premature infants, little preemies here that are born, how do, they obviously don't fall into the same growth chart, right?
They don't follow WHO growth standard because for premature babies, the plotting starts even before the 37 or even before 40 weeks. That is before full term. Yeah. You can plot on WHO growth standards only if the baby is full term. But as far as premature babies are concerned, you need to use different charts. And we did not have very good charts till now, but now we have something similar to WHO growth charts, that is Intergrowth 21. So we need to start using those charts and seeing to it that the premature babies also follow those particular curves. And I'm sure that though it is very difficult, let me be very frank with you, keeping the baby on the charts is extremely difficult, especially in few earlier days, because that initial drop in weight is not considered by either by Fenton or Intergrowth 21 charts. And when the child is having respiratory distress, when the child is off oral nutrition and on IV fluids, it is really challenging to maintain those growth curves. But I believe once that child crosses these particular barriers, then we can use the growth charts very effectively. And since we are talking about normal children, about plotting on growth charts and normal growth standards, the use of breast milk and breastfeeding subsequently will tell us how the child is actually growing on natural diet. And I'm not talking about supplements being fed to the baby. Of course, that may be necessary in some cases, but we are looking forward for a good growth or optimal growth on direct breastfeeding plus express breast milk and get out of the formula as fast as possible, at least till the discharge. And you look at normal growth, which may not be the huge growth we see with supplements.
Right. Well, Dr. Prashant Gangal, it has been wonderful talking to you, and I can't wait for you to share your knowledge and your expertise here with us at Gold in January at that Learning Day. We're looking forward to seeing you there and listening to your presentation. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, I'm also quite excited to join in you people on 17th of Jan.
Yes, thank you. And now some information for our viewers here. This is a live event on January 17th. We have 2 other presentations on top of this one here. And if you would like to find out more about this School Learning Day titled the Managing Weight Gain in Breastfed Infants, we invite you to go to goldlearning.com to find out more. Thank you everyone for participating here with us today. And again, thank you to Dr. Prashant Gangal. Bye-bye everyone.
Bye-bye.